Okay, guys. So we're gonna forego the formalities here. I'm just gonna explain to you what this video is. What I am doing today. It's kind of just a reactionary thing. Okay, I'm not happy right now, because I've released the video about a week ago, talking about the problem with next gen gaming, and how at the moment it might not really be great idea to invest into a next gen console at launch. Maybe a few months down the line when they offer new enticing titles that are exclusive to the platform and they justify each platform's release with an extensive library and actual real reasons to play the the new titles that come out, God of War Ragnarok and whatever Microsoft's going to do now that they bought Bethesda. Okay, then we can justify this. But so I'm interested in getting a new gen console though eventually. I want to play a lot of these new games on the newest hardware. Um I want to experience the next generation of gaming. I'm caught up in the hype beast. I'll be real with you guys. I'm caught up in the hype beast a little bit. But the problem I am seeing with how they're rolling out the games, the pricing of the games, the explanation of how cross generation games work, it's it's just so, oh my god, it's so confusing and it's aggravating because what Sony and Microsoft, as the creators of these next gen consoles and as game publishers themselves, what they're doing is they're letting the entire industry just go hog wild with whatever they want. They're letting any developer choose to charge extra or to not make cross-gen versions of their games or just to make it so that you can play it in a backwards compatible way. And it's making it very confusing. Like, dude, I just want to buy video games and play video games, I just want to play a game. That's all I want to do. And right now, the rollout of this new hardware is making it difficult to just buy a video game and be sure that I am buying and playing the correct video game. So we're going to go into a few things here. The first one is this comment. It's an infamous comment that was posted on Kotaku about Marvel's Spider-Man and the remastered version of it and getting it with the Miles Morales game on PS5. I'm just going to read it for you. It's pretty self-explanatory. So this is a direct statement from Sony and how they're going to release their brand new game and the remastered version of Marvel Spider-Man 2018. Marvel Spider-Man Remastered is an enhanced version of Marvel Spider-Man and it is included as a part of Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales Ultimate Edition for the PlayStation 5. Okay, that's already the first problem. We're going to continue. In addition, players who purchase Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales on PlayStation 4 can upgrade at no additional cost to the PS5 version of Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales and can take advantage of a paid upgrade to download Marvel Spider-Man Remastered. There are no plans to currently offer Marvel Spider-Man Remastered as a standalone. Players with a copy of Marvel Spider-Man for PS4 can purchase Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales Ultimate Edition to experience Marvel Spider-Man Remastered on PS5. Marvel Spider-Man for PS4 will also be backwards compatible on PS5. Okay, so your brain's probably hurting from that because my brain is hurting from that. Essentially, what this statement says is, let me get it. Let me just go get it right now. What this statement is saying is, you see this $60 game you bought in 2018, the one that you spent, a good 20, 30 something dollars for the expansions and the DLC that came out. Fuck that. You don't actually own it. so like, it frustrates me because people who are the loyal fans who care about the games, who are really for this next generation, kind of people like me, but people who would just buy it outright, are being screwed over, and it's kind of really transparent. So the thing that they're doing with this is they're making it so that the only way you can get the remastered version of 2018 Spider-Man on PS5, which is the same exact game as the PS4 version. Actually, does it come? It probably comes with the DLC. I'm gonna assume it comes with all the DLC, because that would make no sense if it didn't. But in any case, the only way to get it is to purchase Marvel's Spider-Man or the Miles Morales game on PS5, and to either get the Ultimate Edition, that's $70, or to get the game and then get an upgraded, like, I assume it's going to be like $30 upgrade fee for getting it. So you can't buy it standalone. That's already kind of weird. Why don't you just sell it standalone? Oh, right. Because you want to justify why people who already own the game on PS4 would have to pay for the same game, but with ray tracing and faster loading speeds. Because the PS4 version is going to be backwards compatible on the PS5, but it won't have all the fancy little add-ons that the remastered game has. So you're just, what you're blatantly doing is you're telling people, if you want the real next-gen experience of this game that you enjoyed, and you already poured a ton of money into, if you enjoyed it, well, then you got to pay us more money. And that's, I mean, again, this is kind of a rant from the old me here, but it's very frustrating to see, especially Sony, take this direction. Because it makes me think of, how are they going to deal with Horizon Forbidden West? Because they're probably going to do the same shit with that. They're probably going to do the same exact thing where they put Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered, or whatever they're going to call it, on PS5, but they're going to make us pay for it. They're going to make us pay $30 or $40 for it, which is, to me, just absolutely absurd. Like, we own the game. We have it. You have the ability. Xbox has already proven it, but you've already proven it by allowing us to have backwards compatibility. You already have the ability to let us play the old version of said game on new hardware. Why not just give us the ability to play the new game if we own the old game? Because the system can obviously recognize that we own the old game, so we can just play the new version of this game. I just want to buy and play video games, dude. Okay. So that's the Sony problem. That's Sony's issue. So this is Sony's problem. Sony's also pushing this benchmark for $70 next generation games, where they're charging an extra $10 for essentially the same experience, but with ray tracing and faster loading speeds. Whoop-de-doo. Okay, whatever. But now we have Microsoft's problem, all right? And Microsoft's problem is twofold. Now, I showed this to my friends a few days back, and they didn't give me a legitimate response. But so there are two versions right here. I want to show you of Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. This is going to be the first video game definitively to have two generation versions going forward. Now, with the older Call of Duties, I mean, I'm not really a huge Call of Duty person. I like the Black Ops series, kind of. I mean, I might find some enjoyment in this if I were to buy it, but everything about this is just really off-putting from the Xbox standpoint, right? So the older Call of Duty games, Call of Duty Ghosts, I think it was the last one that was cross-gen on PS3 and PS4. You can obviously tell which game was for which system and what you were buying for with each system. It made complete sense. There was no confusion or hassle. I want you to spot the difference between this here and this here, okay? This package here and this package here. No, it's okay. It took me a while to figure out too, right? So this is the Xbox One version of Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. It's going to be $60, but here's the thing. It is 4K with HDR. It's playable on Xbox Series X, so you can play this version that's on the Xbox One or the Xbox One X that also runs at 4K on the Xbox One X, but you won't be playing the correct version technically. You'll just be playing, like, I guess, in a slightly upgraded or up-resed version, probably just the Xbox Series, or not the Xbox Series, oh my god, the naming conventions. You'll probably be playing the Xbox One X version of the game on the Xbox Series X. That's already a big headache, okay? Now, this is the Xbox Series X version of the game. This comes fully made and optimized for Series X. I'm assuming this is the same thing, but it just has ray tracing and some faster loading speeds, okay? So, as you can see, it has the little Series X logo up there. It's still 4K, it's still HDR, but it's $70, and it also includes the Xbox One version of the game. Why don't you just sell one version of the game then? Why don't you just sell this version of the game instead of confusing people, right, with this extremely misleading package? Because it says Xbox Series X on the box, so you know you can play it on the Series X, but a lot of people who aren't, like, paying attention will think, oh, this is the Xbox Series X version, I can play it. But then they get the wrong version of the game, and they don't realize they got the wrong version of the game, and they play it on the Xbox Series X, and it just looks worse, or it's just, worse running, and they wonder why this game that's supposed to be this hype brand new game with these insane graphics just looks like, a last generation game. But then this version comes with the Xbox One version anyway, so there's no reason to sell a completely a second copy of the game with one of the two versions that's just completely inferior for $10 less. Like, and at that point, why are you charging extra for? I mean, I know it's not okay. I want to clarify here too, right? This isn't Microsoft's fault entirely, because Microsoft is urging the developers of these games, of cross-gen games, to make the upgrades free for new people, for people who already bought the game on the Xbox One. And good for them for trying that, because it's very pro-consumer. But the thing is, they're not forcing it. They're just asking. So then publishers like Activision here will try to screw people over and confuse the market with the already confusing naming scheme of the Xbox One and the Xbox Series, where you can't tell what hardware is compatible with what game and what game you're going to play and how it's going to factor in. Like, I don't know what they're thinking. I mean, I know there's like smart delivery for Xbox, right, where they're making it so that you can get the correct version of the game if you buy it digitally, but a lot of people are going to buy the physical disc, especially if you own an Xbox Series X, or you're going to own one, or you own an Xbox One X or something like that. And just the naming convention alone is confusing. But then developers and publishers of games pull this crap, where the games are actually just impossible to distinguish which platform you're buying them for. And then, okay, so after this, right, I pulled up this chart. Xbox, so here's the thing with Microsoft, right? Microsoft, you're trying to make it so that the publishers, the players can all have their cake and shit in it too. You're making it so that everyone can win, everyone can get everything they want, and there's so many options for next gen. But all it's doing is causing this extremely, like, irritating levels of confusion. So we go to this tab here. So there are two different types of, like, cross-gen experiences that are going to be available on Xbox Series X. There's going to be the optimized smart delivery for Xbox Series X games, where games are optimized for the consoles, but they're not technically the next generation games. They're just optimized for the systems. But then there are the dual gen games, the ones that have definitive old generation and new generation. One is the Xbox One version, one is the Xbox Series version. So you have, you have you have something like this, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. This actually makes sense. Or, I think Far Cry's some here, right? Far Cry 6. It is a game that's optimized. It's a smart delivery game. So Far Cry 6, it's a game I'm probably going to play. I like the Far Cry games. It's coming out, looks interesting. It's going to be optimized for Series X. So it's going to be the Xbox One version of the game, but it's going to be like slightly upgraded on the Series X, but and the thing is, the thing that makes it confusing to what you're actually getting. I mean, I guess they're just making it so that you get the correct version of the game, whatever. But if you look at the pricing for Far Cry 6 on Xbox, it's $60. It's the price of a normal generation game. But Ubisoft's kind of doing that anyway. Like, if you look at all the pricing of the PS5 version and the PS4, they're still $60 games. Good on you, Ubisoft. Not giving into the peer pressure. Whatever. But it says optimized for Series X. So I guess that sticker there lets you assume that the game is an old generation game that you can play on the Xbox Series X, but it's not necessarily next gen because the Xbox Series X is backwards compatible, but it is slightly upgraded. Again, very confusing, but I guess it kind of makes sense. But then you have like developers and publishers again, like Activision or in this case 2K. Oh my god, so that make this even more confusing. So 2K with NBA 2K21, it is a dual gen game. So you would assume, okay, so it's 2K. It's going to have two different games, right? It's going to have two different versions of the games. One's going to be the Xbox One version, and you can play that on the Xbox Series X. And then one's going to be the Xbox Series X version that's going to cost a little more. All right. I guess, yeah, if by all typical conventions of what we just discussed in the last, like, fucking 10 minutes, that would be what happens. No. This is the $70 version of NBA 2K21 that's coming out probably around the launch of the Series X. And you know what it has on it? A sticker that says optimized for Xbox Series X. And it's the only playable on Series X. So it doesn't come with there's no indication right here, the box doesn't say that the game comes with the Xbox One version. It only comes with the Series X version. But is it the Series X game? I'd imagine because it's coming out later. But it says optimized for Series X versus Call of Duty has just the Xbox Series X game and the logo at the top. So you know it's an Xbox Series X game. But this says optimized. And I think we've already kind of established that the optimized games aren't, I mean, I guess they're all optimized, but some of them aren't. And so it's just, all right. I think I've made my point. I think I've said enough to justify why I'm just like not happy about how next gen is going on so far. Because it's obvious that the publishers and the console manufacturers and holders, they have no idea what they're doing when it comes to the pricing and the release and the general atmosphere of these games. They're making it confusing for the average consumer to figure out, what am I buying? What am I purchasing? And that's, I mean, and then giving us the option to buy things. Like they're two, the PS5 and the Xbox Series are two opposite sides of the same fucking coin right now. The Xbox Series is trying too hard to make it so that everyone gets access to everything that they want. And it's going to cause a lot of confusion. There's going to be like there were people who bought an Xbox One X instead of the Xbox Series X by accident during the pre-orders. There are going to be people who buy the Xbox One versions of the games physically, thinking that it's the Xbox Series X versions of the games. Specifically with like Call of Duty. And that's because it's not only because Activision is creating this extremely confusing rollout of the software, but because Microsoft is allowing for that to happen and is facilitating it with this really awkward naming scheme. And then You have Sony on the other end where they're just being stingy. I like Spider-Man. I want to play Spider-Man on PS5. I don't want to pay $40 for Spider-Man on PS5. I'm sorry. I just don't. It's and we've been seeing with all these developers on PS5 that they're allowing free next gen upgrades for their games. Some of them aren't, some of them are. And it's just a really bad look, you know? It's just a really bad look. Like a good example, one of my favorite games from last year, Borderlands 3. They announced free next gen upgrades to PS5, Xbox Series users. That's all they had to say. Free next gen upgrade. You own the game on the PS4, you can play it on the PS5. You own the game on the Xbox One, you can play it on the Xbox Series X, both the new upgraded versions, no cost. That's all you had to do. And then, you know what? I'd be happy. But instead, they're just allowing anyone to do anything that they want. Any of these developers, any of these studios and publishers to do anything that they want. And it's causing this extreme... It's creating an extremely sour taste in my mouth. Because again, I just want to fucking play video games. That's all I want to do. I don't want to go out and I feel like I'm shopping for, you know, different models of a car. Or what's a good analogy? I don't want to feel like I'm going furniture shopping when I'm going to just buy a video game. I don't want to determine which specific thing is right for me. I just want to buy the game. I don't want to have to do mental gymnastics to buy a video game. In any case, this video was a big rant. Yeah. That's all I really wanted to say. Okay, I'll talk to you guys later.